So what I wanted to do was a video about basically how once you're diagnosed with a psychiatric illness, or a quote illness, because they're not really illnesses, they're symptoms that could be caused by anything being classified as an illness, and there's proof of that now. Now, what happens is once you're classified with a psychiatric disorder or illness or whatever they want to call it, you're not taken seriously by medical doctors. And this recently happened to me. Now, I haven't received psychiatric treatment in many years because I don't want to, because the only thing they ever offer is medicine or therapy that doesn't work, and it basically screws up your ability to think straight and ends up getting you into trouble because you can't think straight. So basically, this is what happened. So since I've been about 11 years old, I've had these terrible hives, rashes, and whatnot. And I've been told time and time again, this is anxiety, this is anxiety, this is anxiety. I've been prescribed antihistamines, actually, that are they're a sedative for psychiatric illnesses also. It's called Vistarol or hydroxyzine. And again, this was not prescribed as an antihistamine, but as a means of calming myself down because they said that it was a psychiatric issue. I had also been offered numerous times benzodiazepines, which I turned down because they're an addictive substance and I won't take addictive substances. Okay, so basically, long story short, I had what was diagnosed as contact dermatitis. My whole face swelled up. I still have some of the issues, some of the breakout. Whole face swelled up. My whole skin of my forehead, face, head, neck, chest, it swelled up to the point where I couldn't breathe properly and couldn't swallow. Had to go to the emergency room. They prescribed prednisone and they prescribed Benadryl, and it did. It came down, and I waited about 3 days to go to the emergency room because usually they'll tell me, well, you're diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder, ergo, and PTSD, and OCD, so therefore, this is a psychiatric illness. When you're diagnosed with a psychiatric disorder, you could break your leg, and a doctor will tell you it's psychiatric in origin. So luckily, this doctor didn't refute the fact that my face was swollen and I could barely breathe or swallow and prescribed these medicines. I followed up with my doctor later, and it turned out, now I have to wait, I think 3 weeks to get tested for psoriasis. He thinks I may have an autoimmune disorder. So basically, all these years, over 20 years, I've been told you have a anxiety disorder, which is causing you to break out in these hives that are unexplainable to any doctor. Now, all of a sudden, one doctor, and that's all it takes is one doctor to actually go, wait a second, this isn't psychiatric. And now I find out I may have an autoimmune disorder, which I may have to take, hopefully, only topical steroids for. But this is the thing. Imagine if I waited longer with this, what was considered contact dermatitis, and took a benzodiazepine and went to bed, and the swelling continued, and I suffocated. Now, you have to understand, this is over 20 years. So I've been to many doctors. I've been to probably 5 medical doctors, and God only knows how many mental health practitioners that have told me this is the result of a psychiatric illness. This is in your head. Okay, well, it wasn't in my head, and the proof will be in my blood, unfortunately. And this is also why I support things like CRISPR and genetic modification and things like that, because these are things that people will not have to live with in the future that unfortunately we do have to live with because of the capitalist greed of the medical and pharmaceutical industry. And psychiatry is the apex of capitalist greed masked as helping people. If you look at the results with psychiatry, not many people get better. And just think about that. I've brought up many stories of people I know. One guy had heart failure, was told he had anxiety. A woman had a brain tumor that my ex-girlfriend knew. Okay, she was told she's just getting older and needs to take these antidepressants. Okay, psychiatry is not real medicine, and it harms by not finding the cause of the problem.